Item 618. Conduit. 1. Description. Furnish and install conduit. 2. Materials. Provide new materials that comply with the details shown on the plans, the requirements of this item, and the pertinent requirements of the following items. Item 400, excavation and backfill for structures. Item 476, jacking, boring, or tunneling pipe or box. When specified on the plans, provide rigid metal conduit, RMC. Intermediate metal conduit, IMC. Electrical metallic tubing, EMT. Polyvinyl chloride, PVC, conduit. High-density polyethylene, HDPE, conduit. Liquid tight flexible metal conduit, LFMC, or liquid tight flexible nonmetallic conduit, LFNC. Furnish conduit from new materials in accordance with DMS 11030, conduit. Provide pre-qualified conduit from the department's MPL. When required by the engineer, notify the department in writing of selected materials from the MPL intended for use on each project. Provide other types of conduit not on the MPL that comply with the details shown on the plans and the NEC. Fabricate fittings such as junction boxes and expansion joints from a material similar to the connecting conduit, unless otherwise shown on the plans. Use watertight fittings. Do not use set screw and pressure cast fittings. Steel compression fittings are permissible. When using HDPE conduit, provide fittings that are all listed as electrical conduit connectors or thermally fused using an electrically heated wound wire resistance welding method. Use red 3 inches 4 mil polyethylene underground warning tape that continuously states caution buried electrical line below. 3. Construction. Perform work in accordance with the details shown on the plans and the requirements of this item. Use established industry and utility safety practices when installing conduit located near underground utilities. Consult with the appropriate utility company before beginning work. Install conduit a minimum of 18 inches deep below finished grade unless otherwise shown on the plans. Meet the requirements of the NEC when installing conduit. Secure and support conduit placed for concrete encasement in such a manner that the alignment will not be disturbed during placement of the concrete. Cap ends of conduit and close box openings before concrete is placed. Ream conduit to remove burrs and sharp edges. Use a standard conduit cutting die with a 3/4 inches taper per foot when conduit is threaded in the field. Fasten conduit placed on structures with conduit straps or hangers as shown on the plans or as directed. Fasten conduit within 3 feet of each box or fitting and at other locations shown on the plans or as directed. Use metal conduit clamps that are galvanized malleable or stainless steel unless otherwise shown on the plans. Use 2-hole type clamps for 2 inches diameter or larger conduit. Fit PVC and HDPE conduit terminations with bushings or bell ends. Fit metal conduit terminations with a grounding type bushing, except conduit used for duct cable casing that does not terminate in a ground box and is not exposed at any point. Conduit terminating in threaded bossed fittings does not need a bushing. Before installation of conductors or final acceptance, pull a properly sized mandrel or piston through the conduit to ensure that it is free from obstruction. Cap or plug empty conduit placed for future use. Perform trench excavation and backfilling as shown on the plans or as directed, and in accordance with item 400, excavation and backfill for structures. Excavation and backfilling will be subsidiary to the installation of the conduit. Jack and bore as shown on the plans or as directed, and in accordance with item 476, jacking, boring, or tunneling pipe or box. Place warning tape approximately 10 inches above trench head conduit. Where existing surfacing is removed for placing conduit, repair by backfilling with material equal in composition and density to the surrounding areas and by replacing any removed surfacing, such as asphalt pavement or concrete riprap, with like material to equivalent condition. Mark conduit locations as directed. For measurement. This item will be measured by the foot of conduit. This is a plan's quantity measurement item. The quantity to be paid is the quantity shown in the proposal, unless modified by Article 9.2, Plan's quantity measurement. Additional measurements or calculations will be made if adjustments of quantities are required. 5. Payment. The work performed and materials furnished in accordance with this item and measured as provided under measurement will be paid for at the unit price bid for conduit of the type and size specified and the installation method specified as applicable. This price is full compensation for furnishing and installing conduit, hanging, strapping, jacking, boring, tunneling, trenching, and furnishing and placing backfill, encasing in steel or concrete, replacing pavement structure, sod, riprap, curbs, or other surface, marking location of conduit, when required, furnishing and installing fittings, junction boxes and expansion joints, and materials, equipment, labor, tools, and incidentals. Flexible conduit will not be paid for directly but will be subsidiary to pertinent items. Unless otherwise shown on the plans, no payment will be allowed under this item for conduit used on electrical services or in foundations.